For Tiger Woods, his 6-year marriage to Elin Nordegren is now officially over.
Tiger Woods is expected here at the Ridgewood Country Club this week for a tournament, but unfortunately for him, the focus is likely to be less on his golf and more on his personal life.
Remember Tiger Woods' ex-wife? If you don't, let's remind you. There was a time when the world could not stop talking about the elegant Swedish woman who stood quietly beside one of the most famous athletes on the planet. When cameras flashed around Tiger Woods, she was always there, poised and reserved, seemingly untouched by the chaos of celebrity life. Her name was Elin Nordegren, and for a time, she appeared to be living a modern fairy tale beside one of the world's most famous athletes. But in 2009, that illusion shattered after a mysterious late-night crash outside Woods' Florida mansion. The marriage collapsed. The divorce made history. And then, almost as suddenly as she had become famous, Elin disappeared from the public eye. For years, people have wondered the same thing. What actually happened to Tiger Woods' ex-wife after the scandal? And what does her life look like today? Let's get into it. Elin's life before fame. It's a little surprising, but long before she became one of the most talked-about women in the world, Elin Nordegren lived a quiet life in Sweden. She was born on January 1st, 1980, in Stockholm, into a family that valued education and public service. Her father, Thomas Nordegren, was a respected radio journalist in Sweden, known for his thoughtful reporting. Her mother, Barbro Holmberg, built a successful career in politics and eventually served as Sweden's Minister for Migration and Asylum Policy. They were a fairly average family by old standards, and Elin's life was relatively ordinary growing up. She wasn't raised in luxury or celebrity circles. Instead, she and her twin sisters spent their childhood focused on school, sports, and the everyday rhythms of family life in Stockholm. Like many young people trying to find their path, Elin worked a series of small jobs while figuring out what she wanted to do. At one point, she worked at a clothing store. She also did some modeling work, though it was never a serious long-term career. Everything changed when she took a job as an au pair in the United States. Elin moved to America to work for the family of Jesper Parnevik, a well-known Swedish professional golfer who was competing on the PGA Tour. Her job was simple: help care for the Parnevik children while living with the family. It was supposed to be a temporary adventure, but that decision would place her in the exact environment where her life would change forever. In 2001, during the Open Championship golf tournament, Jesper Parnevik introduced Elin to someone he knew on the tour, a fast-rising superstar named Tiger Woods. At the time, Tiger was already dominating professional golf. He was young, wildly successful, and arguably the most recognizable athlete in the world. It certainly also helped that he was quite good-looking. Yet, when they were first introduced, Elin reportedly wasn't particularly impressed. In fact, she was dating someone else at the time and initially showed little interest in the famous golfer. But Tiger was interested, and he was very persistent. Over time, casual conversations turned into a friendship, and that friendship slowly grew into something much more serious. But at the time, neither of them could have imagined that their relationship would soon become one of the most famous and eventually most controversial marriages in sports history. The fairy tale romance with Tiger. When Tiger Woods first met Elin in 2001, he was already a global phenomenon. He had revolutionized the sport of golf. Television ratings surged whenever he played. Sponsors competed to sign him, and by the early 2000s, he was not just a champion golfer. He was a cultural icon. But despite his fame, Tiger was known for keeping his personal life intensely private. Now, imagine this: a sports star who loved to keep his personal life private, starting a relationship with an au pair. If that's not the stuff of romance novels, we don't know what is. This was one of the reasons his relationship with Elin quickly captured public attention. Everyone wanted a slice of information about whatever was going on between them. At first, their romance developed slowly. After their introduction through Jesper, Tiger began pursuing Elin more seriously. Friends later recalled that she seemed cautious. Elin wasn't someone who appeared dazzled by fame or money. Still, something about the relationship worked. Within a couple of years, the quiet Swedish au pair and the most famous golfer in the world had become inseparable. In 2003, 2 years after they first met, Tiger proposed. The proposal reportedly took place during a romantic vacation at a luxury game reserve in South Africa. Far away from cameras and reporters, he asked Elin to marry him, and she said yes. The following year, their wedding became one of the most lavish celebrity ceremonies of the decade. In October 2004, the couple married at the exclusive Sandy Lane Resort in Barbados. The resort was reportedly booked out entirely for the celebration, ensuring total privacy for their high-profile guests. The event looked like something straight out of a Hollywood romance. Palm trees swayed in the Caribbean breeze. Fireworks lit the sky over the ocean. And for a moment, it seemed as though the Tiger Woods had found the perfect partner to share his extraordinary life. Soon after the wedding, the couple settled into a luxurious lifestyle in Florida. From the outside, everything appeared ideal. Tiger continued winning championships and breaking records. Elin maintained a low profile, rarely giving interviews and mostly staying away from the spotlight. In 2007, they welcomed their first child, a daughter named Sam. 2 years later, their son Charlie was born. To fans and the media, the Woods family seemed like the picture of happiness: a sports superstar, an intelligent wife, and 2 young children growing up in a multi-million-dollar home. But beneath the surface, cracks had already begun to form. For years, Tiger had carefully managed his public image. He was seen as disciplined, focused, and almost superhuman in his control. What no one outside the marriage knew was that secrets were quietly building. And in late 2009, those secrets would explode into one of the biggest scandals the sports world had ever seen. The cheating scandal that shocked the world. On the night of November 27, 2009, something strange happened outside the Woods, Florida mansion. Just after 2 a.m., Tiger crashed his SUV into a fire hydrant and then a tree near the entrance of the couple's gated community. In the hours before the crash, he had been at home with his wife, reportedly hosting guests. One of them was Rachel Uchitel, the New York nightclub manager who would soon become the first woman publicly linked to the scandal. According to several reports at the time, Elin had allegedly discovered text messages or phone records connecting Tiger to Uchitel shortly before the crash. This reportedly triggered a confrontation inside the house. What exactly happened next has never been fully confirmed, but let's break down the sequence investigators documented. Around 2:25 a.m., Tiger suddenly left the house and got into his Cadillac Escalade. Instead of driving down the street normally, his SUV traveled only a short distance, roughly 150 to 200 feet from the driveway. Then things went wrong. The vehicle first struck a fire hydrant, knocking it over. Seconds later, the Escalade veered into a large tree on the side of the road. Shortly after the impact, Elin reportedly ran outside. Police reports stated that she used a golf club to smash the rear window of the Escalade. But on a bit, because it's not what you think. Elin didn't smash his window in a fit of rage, at least not according to the official account. According to reports, she actually did this to help Tiger get out of the vehicle. But as you'd expect, this detail became one of the most famous and controversial parts of the story. Many tabloids suggested she had chased him with the golf club during an argument. However, law enforcement never officially confirmed that version of events. Now, if you're like us, you'd probably be thinking about how strange this entire episode was. And it's strange for several reasons. 1, Tiger was driving very slowly when the accident occurred. 2, the crash happened extremely close to his own driveway. And finally, he initially refused to speak to the police after the incident. These odd details fueled speculation that the crash had happened during a heated argument inside the house. Within days, the rumors exploded, and the scandal surrounding Tiger's affairs began to unfold. That small crash outside his mansion turned out to be the moment that exposed one of the biggest celebrity scandals in sports history. Within days, the story took a shocking turn. Soon after, more women began coming forward with claims that they had been involved with the golf superstar. What followed was a media avalanche. One by one, allegations surfaced suggesting Tiger had been involved in multiple affairs during his marriage. The number kept growing. By some accounts, more than a dozen women claimed to have had relationships with him. Tabloid headlines ran around the clock. Television networks covered every new detail. The scandal spread across the world. For the first time in his career, Tiger's carefully controlled public image collapsed. Sponsors began distancing themselves from him. Major companies that had once proudly featured him in advertisements suddenly pulled their campaigns. Within weeks, brands like Accenture and AT&T cut ties with the golfer. Under mounting pressure, Tiger released a public statement admitting to what he called personal failings. He apologized to his fans, his sponsors, and most importantly, to his wife and family. But the damage had already been done. The scandal had become one of the most explosive celebrity stories of the decade. For Elin, the situation was devastating. She had been living a relatively private life, raising 2 young children and avoiding the spotlight. Now she was suddenly surrounded by reporters, photographers, and endless speculation about her marriage. Tabloids printed rumors daily. Some claimed she had confronted Tiger the night of the crash after discovering suspicious messages on his phone. Others suggested she had chased him out of the house with a golf club in anger. The truth about that night has never been fully confirmed. But the image of the furious wife wielding a golf club became one of the most memorable myths of the entire scandal. Meanwhile, Tiger's career was spiraling. In December 2009, he announced that he would take an indefinite break from professional golf. He later entered a rehabilitation program to address what he described as personal issues. For months, the sports world watched as one of its greatest champions disappeared from competition. Behind the scenes, the marriage was falling apart. Friends close to the couple said Elin was deeply hurt and shocked by the revelations. In later interviews, she admitted she had been completely unaware of the extent of Tiger's behavior. The trust in their relationship had been shattered. Despite attempts to repair the damage, the couple eventually realized there was no way to save the marriage. By early 2010, divorce proceedings had quietly begun. What had once looked like a perfect celebrity love story had turned into one of the most dramatic breakups in modern sports history. And when the divorce was finally finalized later that year, it came with a financial settlement that stunned the world. The divorce and the $100 million settlement. By the summer of 2010, it had become clear that the marriage between Tiger and Elin could not be saved. After months of headlines, rumors, and public apologies, the couple officially finalized their divorce in August of that year. The announcement was brief and carefully worded. Both parties released statements saying they were sad that their marriage had ended, but were committed to co-parenting their 2 children. Behind the scenes, however, the financial settlement was enormous. Reports indicated that Elin received roughly $100 million as part of the divorce agreement. At the time, it was widely considered one of the most expensive divorces in sports history. Early rumors had suggested that she might receive as much as $750 million, a figure that circulated widely in the media, but those reports turned out to be exaggerated. Still, a settlement of $100 million was staggering by any standard. The agreement also included strict privacy provisions. Details about Tiger's alleged relationships and private behavior were not to be publicly discussed by either party. Despite the massive financial payout, Elin never attempted to capitalize on the scandal. She didn't write a tell-all book. She didn't launch a reality television career. and she rarely gave interviews about what had happened. Instead, she quietly stepped away from the spotlight. Her priority had always been her peace and her children. Unfortunately, both kids were too young to fully understand what was happening. Their daughter, Sam, was just 3 years old, while their son, Charlie, was still a toddler. As they grew older, Tiger said he made sure to explain the situation himself, telling them he had made mistakes, but that both parents still loved them deeply. While the media continued to analyze Tiger's career and reputation in the years that followed, Elin focused on rebuilding her life away from public attention. And surprisingly, she would soon make several bold moves that proved she was far more than just Tiger Woods' ex-wife. Her life after Tiger Woods. After the divorce, many people expected Elin to remain a permanent fixture in celebrity headlines. But rather than embracing fame, she gradually disappeared from it. While the world continued to follow Tiger's career, Elin chose a much quieter path. One of her first major moves after the divorce was investing in real estate. In 2011, she purchased a massive oceanfront property in North Palm Beach, Florida, for about $12 million. The house on the property was a historic mansion built decades earlier. But instead of renovating it, Elin made the surprising decision to demolish the entire structure. The mansion was torn down completely so that she could build a new modern home designed exactly the way she wanted. Before demolition began, she donated many materials from the house to Habitat for Humanity so they could be reused in building projects for families in need. Construction on the new property took several years. The finished home became an enormous luxury estate overlooking the Atlantic Ocean. 9 years later, she sold the property for roughly $28.6 million, more than doubling her original investment. But real estate wasn't the only thing she focused on. Elin also returned to school. Despite having young children and enormous financial resources, she decided to complete her education. She enrolled at Rollins College in Florida and studied psychology. In 2014, she graduated with a bachelor's degree and even received an award for outstanding academic achievement. For many observers, it was a surprising move. Instead of chasing celebrity opportunities, she had chosen a much more personal goal: education and personal growth. Her personal life also began to evolve. Over the years following the divorce, Elin was linked to several high-profile relationships. She dated businessman Jamie Dingman for a period of time and later had a relationship with billionaire coal executive Chris Klein. However, her most significant relationship came later with former NFL player Jordan Cameron. The two eventually started a family together. In 2019, Elin gave birth to another child, expanding her family beyond the 2 children she shares with Tiger. Despite the complicated history between them, Elin and Tiger gradually developed a respectful relationship as co-parents. Over time, the anger and pain of the scandal faded. Today, the two are often seen attending events for their children together, particularly golf tournaments involving their son Charlie, who has begun showing serious talent in the sport that made his father famous. For many people who followed the scandal years ago, this peaceful co-parenting relationship is one of the most unexpected developments of the entire story. What once looked like an irreparable breakup has slowly transformed into something calmer, more mature, and focused on family. And yet, even with all that time passing, curiosity about Elin has never completely disappeared. Because when people occasionally see photos of her today, many still ask the same question. What does Tiger Woods' ex-wife look like now? The answer is healthy, happy, and very fulfilled. More than a decade after the scandal that ended her marriage, Elin lives a life that is dramatically different from the one she had during her years with Tiger. Today, she remains largely private. She lives in Florida with her family and spends most of her time focused on raising her children. Unlike many people connected to celebrity scandals, she has never tried to maintain a public persona. There are no regular interviews, television appearances, or attempts to build a brand around her past. Financially, Elin is also in a strong position. Through the divorce settlement and smart investments, her net worth is estimated to be well over $200 million. Yet she continues to live relatively quietly compared to many people with similar wealth. She hasn't undergone some shocking change. Instead, she has simply grown older, raised her children, and built a life away from the spotlight. And perhaps that quiet strength is the most remarkable part of her story. Because after one of the most public celebrity scandals in modern history, she managed to do something very few people in her position ever achieve. She walked away from the drama and moved on. Do you think Elin made the right choices? Tell us in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this.